Hi, and welcome to Tip of the Week. Today what I was going to talk about is turning your horse loose. Last week we talked about going in the stall and the routine that I use for putting the halter on and leading the horse out of the stall. Again, it's all routine and repetition, doing things the right way. When I see people turning their horse loose, whether it's in a pasture or turning it out into a round pen like this to let it exercise or whatever, a lot of times the horses can't wait to get out into a big place where they can run around. And a lot of times people will take like a lead rope and throw it around their neck and just walk them to the gate and let them run through there, and then eventually the horse anticipates it and gets closer to the gate, and then he takes off running, and it just creates bad habits. So just like in the stall when I put the halter on, I use that routine. I have a routine for when I turn a horse loose. And certainly there's times where you don't have time to do this, but that should just be the exception. So the rule should be that you have your routine when you turn your horse loose. Now, when we went through lesson 2 of groundwork, standing still and body exploration and that sort of thing, I went through how there's 2 methods for when you leave your horse and you want him to stand there, and when you leave your horse and you want him to move off. So what we do when we want him to move off, when we turn him loose, what I'll do is my routine is I'll come in here, and most of the time I'll go away from the gate and do something with him. And it may be just doing some flexing again or just a short exercise, but I get their attention and their respect before I turn them loose. And the biggest mistake people make is just turning their horse loose. And I hear all the time people that say, what do I do with my horse when I go to walk it out and turn it loose? And just as I get the halter off, they wheel around and they try to kick me or they run off. So again, let's show you the routine that I use. And again, think about this when you look at lesson 2, the 2 ways that we move away from a horse. So when we want him to stand there, we have our belt buckle here, and we walk back 3 or 4 steps, turn around and away from him to let him know to stand there. When we want them to move off, we're standing here. We take a couple steps back out of the kicking range and then move them off. And so that's the motion that we want to use when we turn them loose out into an open space or a corral or whatever. So I'll pull Cutter out and demonstrate that real quick. Okay, so as I approach the gate that I'm going to turn the horse out in, if it's a solid gate like this one is, which you always want to be careful of, is always be cognizant of how things can happen to where you can get in a wreck. And specifically, if you leave a gate pointed this way and you walk in and by chance the horse catches his hip on this and pulls it, you can knock a hip down and get in a big wreck. So I always swing the gate away like this, and I'll walk him in like this and close the gate. Now the other thing that I'll do is, this is a good way to practice certain things. So instead of walking them through, I'll mix it up. And one day I'll just direct and drive them through the gate like that. Look their hindquarters away like that. So what I'm trying to do is, the last thing I want to do is, okay, all of a sudden I just turn him loose right here and he wheels around and he kicks at me in no respect. So what I'm going to do, most of the time, I'll take a horse away from the gate. Just like when I'm working a horse in the saddle, I never come over to the gate and get off the horse at the gate, because that gets him gate sour. So likewise, when I'm working a horse, before I turn him loose, I'll come out here and I'll go to the other side. I'll pick a different part of the arena, or if it's a pasture, go someplace different each time in the pasture, and I'll do something with him, like I'll flex him and just pick an exercise that I'm going to do. And just, again, I want this horse connecting with me so he's not bouncing all over, jumping around. And again, sometimes you don't have time for this, but you should make it the rule rather than the exception that you do this. So I'm doing a little bit of this kind of stuff. Then I may do some direct and drive stuff in circles. just to get him on the thinking side of his brain. Come on. And so once I have him relaxed like that, and I may flex him, and again, I'm going to lower his head, keep his head lowered, and I'll come across here, still holding on to him. I'm petting his neck, 2 steps back, then move him off, like that. That's a safe way to do it. And if you get in the routine of doing that, I don't care how fresh your horse is or whatever, it's going to be a lot safer, and it's real easy to practice and do it that way. Thanks.